How many of you feel it's unjust to have to feel the pain that others have created? Yep. That's one primary reason why none of you are at one with God yet. Because to become at one with God, all of us on the planet are going to have to feel the pain that others created. And you know what that's called? That's called forgiveness. That's what it's called. When you're prepared to feel the pain that everyone else has created inside of you, you will have forgiven everyone. And that's the higher law related to the law of divine love. Does that make sense? That's one of the higher laws. Now, if we do not involve the law of forgiveness, then we're going to have to go through what's the other thing called? The law of compensation. A lower law. And it's going to take longer time to sort out the issue. And the only reason why we don't want to forgive, there's only one reason, and that is because we don't want to come face to face with this primary truth. Everything that happened to me that was unjust. Where do you think I'm going to go with this? Everything that happened to me that was unjust. Natalie, you want to see if you can finish it off?
I created?
No, I'm not going to say that. Rita?
I have to feel it.
No, don't just...
I have to feel and forgive.
You do, yes, but that wasn't what I was going to say. It's very simple what I was going to say. If we go to Nina, just down here, and then maybe Dennis. Sorry. If we have to follow this chain of thought. So.
Was created because we didn't have a desire to be in harmony with God's laws, or didn't.
No, you were just born. You were just conceived, and straight away things happened to you that were unjust.
Well, somebody didn't want to be in harmony with God. It didn't want to be God reliant.
Yeah, but it wasn't you.
No.
So
isn't that the cause, though, that somewhere along the line somebody didn't want to comply?
It might be the cause, but I'm not talking about the cause here. I'm just talking about a principle that we need to understand. Because once we understand this principle, you will start crying. Trust me. Ange?
Is ours to forgive?
It is ours to forgive, but that wasn't what I was going to say. It's much more simple than that. If we go to Dennis had his hand up.
My soul created?
No. I wasn't going to say that either. We could go on all day. Everything that happened to you that was unjust. You see, once we really let that hit home, we will start to grieve all of the injustice in our life. And that's what we need to do. You see, what we've been doing is holding on to the injustice in our life. And when we hold on to the injustice in our life, we don't grieve it, and therefore we cannot forgive. You see, if we understand this basic principle that everything that's happened to me in my life, that has felt painful in my life, was unjust. And so I probably should qualify that everything that's painful in my life, that's happened to me in my life, that was unjust, is actually unjust. And once we allow ourselves to actually realise that, we will be able to grieve all of those events. See, this is the issue that I'm going through at the moment a lot. Just this issue of allowing myself to feel the injustice of how I get treated at times, the total injustice. Right? and allow myself to grieve that it's happening. Just allow yourself to grieve it. In the first century, one of the things I learned early in my development spiritually, and it's taken me a bit longer this time to learn it, is that forgiveness is one of the primary things that you can develop to actually work your way through things emotionally and get closer to God. Forgiveness. But it's not what everyone on earth thinks forgiveness is. It's not what they think. Forgiveness is this, coming to the realisation that every pain inside of me that was unjustly caused did have an unjust cause. And that all I need to do is grieve it, that it happened to me. That's all I have to do. As soon as I fear it, or as soon as I want to feel that it's unjust and actually feel, that, then I'm angry and I'll never feel it. I'll never feel it. Many of you are not going to ever feel things while you stay in the state you're in with regard to this statement of justice. You want justice. And I've said many, many times that justice is not love. It's not love. See, the reality is that many of you, if you looked from a point of justice, many of you would be fully justified becoming pedophiles. Now, shall I qualify that? Many of you have been sexually abused as children, have you not? If justice was the criteria in which you wanted to live your life, then surely that would then justify you becoming a pedophile of children. Because that's what happened to you. It's the same principle like a murderer. If somebody murders somebody in your family, like your child, surely justice would dictate that you just murder their child. Then you're even. Doesn't it? Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, life for a life. Isn't that the concept that we have of justice? That's the concept we have of justice. It's totally unloving. Totally unloving. And while I do not face that everything that happened to me that I feel pained about that was unjust was actually unjust, I am not going to work my way through the grief of it. You see, what needs to happen on the planet is every single person on this planet needs to release the feelings of injustice that they have. Because if we don't release the feelings of injustice, we will continue to demand justice rather than love. And in demanding justice, we will do and perpetrate some very unloving actions. Whole wars have been caused by the feeling of injustice. Yeah? Whole wars, world wars, in fact, have been caused by this feeling. So we need to deal with that. But that's a little bit of an aside. Can you see the causal emotion of why we feel things are unjust? That actually things happen to us that were unjust. And we need to be prepared to just cry about it rather than doing anything else about it. But most of us want to scream and yell and shout. And we want to be totally angry and annoyed, and we want to take affirmative action for all of the injustice that has been done to us. And while we do all of that, we are going to create more injustice. What we don't heal within ourselves, within our soul, we continue to create around us. It's the only result. Yeah. Pierre?